Hare Karananda. Two things. The paper that I asked you to have printed. And the second thing is the words for the mantras. Okay. So, I don't know any of you. Well, I know almost none of you. I know a few of you only. I'm visiting for the evening, invited to come to attend an observance on the appearance day of Lord Nrsingadev. And I think everybody here knows who was Lord Nrsingadev. Anybody here not know who was Lord Nrsingadev? You all know. Okay. I've been a member on the travel. I came from Chicago to come to Omaha. We had a little 660 flights were canceled from Chicago because they had a little problem with a fire in the air control regional headquarters. So O'Hare Airport, Midway Airport, Minneapolis, Milwaukee Airport, they were shut down. No flights in, no flights out, so I was a little late. I made it. But I came here from Chicago to take part in the Sri Chatur to see all of you. And I've been a member, on the flight, when we got back on the plane for the second time, because they had us sitting on the runway for 4 hours, just sitting in the plane for 4 hours, getting, messages from whether they were going to let the flight leave or not. And so when we boarded the plane for the second time, went back to the terminal, they had us stand around and let us leave. Fortunately, we were able to come. We weren't one of the 660 flights that was canceled today. But this was Southwest Airlines, so anybody can sit anywhere airlines. So I sat on an aisle seat, and over by the window seat was a black woman on a business trip. So she asked, can you explain the reason why you're dressed this way? And I said, I'm a monk. People from the West can understand that. Oh, I have a friend who's a monk. And I said, what kind of a monk? Buddhist monk. I said, well, I'm a Krishna monk. Oh, Krishna monk. Are you from, she said, I know some Krishna monks in New York. I said, I'm from New York. They dress just like you dressed. Well, maybe I was one of the ones that you saw. Krishna monk from New York. And although we're Krishna monks, or worshippers of Krishna, maybe some of you know, maybe some of you don't know, but we also worship Lord Nrsingadev, along with worshiping Krishna. Did you know that? Whenever we, at our temples, all over the world, there are around 600 ISKCON temples that have deities, and another 400 that are not ready for having deities yet. But wherever there's deities, even where there aren't deities, we have arati, and the arati includes, just as we did, singing Hare Krishna mantra, along with other mantras and songs. And at the end, we sing prayers to Lord Nrsingadev. We worship Lord Nrsingadev every day, several times a day. So, for a Krishna monk, myself, this Nrsinga Chaturdasi is a very special day, and coming here and spending the evening with you on Nrsinga Chaturdasi is another special nice thing. So, in the presentation that I'm going to show you, I'll give you a little preview. There are, all over the world, not only in India, but all over the world, there's devotion for Lord Nrsingadev abundant. He's a very much loved deity, supreme personality, an avatar, form of the Lord. So I'm going to share with you some of those deities around the world and many nice things, all just focusing on devotion to Lord Nrsingadev. That's our evening together. So we'll start, especially if our sound man comes back to the table, we'll start with some prayers to Lord Nrsingadev, which you have sheets for. And if our sound man can play the recording, then you can chant. There's 2 sets of prayers. There's many, but I just chose 2. And you can hear and follow along with the sheets that you have with this South Indian Vaishnav, worshipper of Lord Nrsingadev, chanting very nicely prayers to Lord Nrsingadev. And if our sound man doesn't show up. Next slide.
Nikhilartha Siddhyai Sri Lakshmi Nrsimha Pravattihi.
So sing along.
Yasya bhavat bhakti janarti hantuho pitritva manyeshva vicharya turnam stambhe vatarastamamanya labhyam Lakshmi Nrsimham Sharanam Prapadye Shrikapaniye Pratima Prabhavam Shritaitiriye Kucharo Girishtaha Idiva Pakshindra Dharadharastvam Lakshmi Nrsimham Sharanam Prapadye Samvarga Vidya Vilasat Swarupam Stambhaikadimbhatmalasat Prabhavam Trailokya Sampurna Nrsimhamurtim Lakshmi Nrsimham Sharanam Prapadye Hiranyadataramapindrahetoh Hiranyahantaramataashtabahum Shantam satam ugram asat samaje Lakshmi Nrsimham Sharanam Prapadye Santoshahasena sadaраmayam Vyantananam Swarna Satabhiramam Chirvadharanyasta Ramekshanantam Lakshmi Nrsimham Sharanam Prapadye Sanchara Yogyam Cha Padavahantam Sri Padukam Chenchusutam Ramam Cha Savyena Hastena Parishvajantam Lakshmi Nrsimham Sharanam Prapadye श्रीमद्वयार्थो ह्यहमेव सत्यम् इतीव सर्वान् प्रतिबोधयन्तम् रमानृसिंहम् त्वविभक्तरूपम् लक्ष्मीनृसिंहम् शरणम् प्रपद्ये। श्रीवेङ्कटेशेन विवाहकाले सम्पूजितम् सर्वविधोपचारैः श्रीशङ्खचक्राभयबाहुदीप्तम् लक्ष्मीनृसिंहम् शरणम् प्रपद्ये। अहोबिलम् सानुजयेत्य रामः रमाहरे यस्य चकार पूजाम् पद्यैश्च पञ्चामृतभोग्यशब्दैः लक्ष्मीनृसिंहम् शरणम् प्रपद्ये। समाश्रयार्थम् त्वपराधिवर्गे समागते तत्र निवृत्तवक्त्रम् श्रीवाक्यसन्तुष्टकृपार्द्रनेत्रम् लक्ष्मीनृसिंहम् शरणम् प्रपद्ये। सञ्चारयोग्यम् प्रसमीक्ष्य कालम् काले कलौ यस्त्वरया व्यचिञ्चत् श्रीवासनामानमहो मुनीन्द्रम् लक्ष्मीनृसिंहम् शरणम् प्रपद्ये। समाश्रितानामिह सेवनार्थम् अहोबिले ह्यद्यमठे ज्वलन्तम् सुवर्णडोलाविलसत्स्वरूपम् लक्ष्मीनृसिंहम् शरणम् प्रपद्ये। श्रीवंशठारातियतीन्द्रपूर्वैः स्थानेऽभिषिक्तैर्यतिराजचन्द्रैः सम्पूजितम् ह्यात्मदमात्मदानाम् लक्ष्मीनृसिंहम् शरणम् प्रपद्ये। अहोबिले गारुडशैलमध्ये कृपावशात् कल्पितसन्निधानम् लक्ष्म्या समालिङ्गितवामभागम् लक्ष्मीनृसिंहम् शरणम् प्रपद्ये। लक्ष्मीनृसिंहार्चनहृष्टचित्तः भक्त्यैव वेदान्तगुरुर्यतीन्द्रः लक्ष्मीनृसिंहस्य शुभाम् प्रपत्तिम् चक्रे जनानाम् निखिलार्थसिद्ध्यै।
श्री नृसिंहाष्टकम्। श्रीमदकलङ्क परिपूर्ण शशिकोटि श्रीधर मनोहर सटापटलकान्त पालय कृपालय भवाम्बुधि निमग्नम् दैत्यवरकाल नरसिंह नरसिंह। श्रीमदकलङ्क परिपूर्ण शशिकोटि श्रीधर मनोहर सटापटलकान्त पालय कृपालय भवाम्बुधि निमग्नम् दैत्यवरकाल नरसिंह नरसिंह। पादकमलावनतपातकि जनानाम् पातकदवानलपतत्रिवरकेतो भावन परायण भवार्ति हरयामाम् पाहि कृपयैव नरसिंह नरसिंह। तुङ्गनखपङ्क्ति दलितासुरवरासृक् पङ्कनवकुङ्कुम विपङ्किल महोरः पंडित निधान कमलालय नमस्ते पंकज निषण्ण नरसिंह नरसिंह। मौलिषु विभूषणमिवामरवराणाम् योगी हृदयेषु च शिरस्सु निगमानाम् राजदरविन्द रुचिरं पदयुगं ते देहि मम मूर्ध्नि नरसिंह नरसिंह। वारिज विलोचन मदन्तिम दशायाम् क्लेश विवशीकृत समस्त करणायाम् एहि रमया सह शरण्य विहगानाम् नाथमधिरुह्य नरसिंह नरसिंह। हाटक किरीट वरहार वनमाला ताररशना मकर कुण्डल मणीन्द्रैः भूषितमशेष निलयं तव वपुर्मे चेतस चकास्तु नरसिंह नरसिंह। इंदुर विपावक विलोचन रमायाः मंदिर महाभुजल सत्वर रथांग सुंदर चिराय रमतां त्वयि मनो मे नंदित सुरेश नरसिंह नरसिंह माधव मुकुंद मधुसूदन मुरारे वामन नृसिंह शरणं भवनतानां कामद घृणिन्निखिल कारण नयेयं कालममरेश नरसिंह नरसिंह अष्टकमिदं सकलपातकभयघ्नं कामदमशेष दुरितामय रिपुघ्नं यः पठति सन्ततमशेष निलयं ते गच्छति पदं स नरसिंह नरसिंह अष्टकमिदं सकलपातकभयघ्नं कामदमशेष दुरितामय रिपुघ्नं यः पठति सन्ततमशेष निलयं ते गच्छति पदं स नरसिंह नरसिंह
श्री निखिलार्थ सिद्धि.
So that's a beginning, some classic mantras in honor of Lord Nrsimhadev. As we go along, you can read the translation, you can keep those sheets with you. Just like to go through a little bit of the appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev. This is a classic painting that's found practically on all of our altars in ISKCON. The scene of Prahlad Maharaj offering a garland of flowers to Lord Nrsimhadev as Lord Nrsimhadev is bifurcating the demoniac Hiranyakashipu, terror of the universe. He was the original terrorist. Intimately and inextricably connected are Lord Nrsimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj because it was for the purpose of protecting Prahlad that Lord Nrsimhadev appeared. So a little bit about Prahlad Maharaj before Lord Nrsimhadev appears. Prahlad Maharaj was within the womb of his mother, Kayadu, before Nrsimhadev received his benediction from Lord Brahma after Kayadu had become pregnant. Hiranyakashipu had an ardent desire not only to be the Lord of the universe, but to be God. He had, by his military power, he had usurped the kingdom of Indra and was occupying his palace. He was the king of heaven and the ruler of the universe, more or less. So what he wanted was to become immortal, so he could become as good as God, rule the universe forever. So he went to the forest for the purpose of performing austerities. You know the austerity. He stood on his toes with his arms raised up in the air and stood in that position for 100 celestial years. And celestial years are a lot longer than earthly years. Try standing on your toes with your arms raised in the air for a while. You can do it for a while. How long can you do it for? 30 seconds. Maybe a minute. Maybe 5 minutes. Maybe an hour, if you really practice. Anyway, you get the idea. It was very, the austerity was so great that he was in the forest. So ants started eating away at his body. He was so austere, he didn't even bother with the ants eating away his body. In fact, it was just a pile of bones. Standing erect with his arms raised in the air. It was terrible austerity, but his motivation was pretty intense. He wanted to become God. So Lord Brahma descended, and from his kamandalu he poured water on the body of Hiranyakashipu, and it became like new. The bones, he just filled out. And Hiranyakashipu made the request, like, Hiranyakashipu, you've done this great austerity, what is it you would like? I would like immortality. And Lord Brahma said, I can't give you immortality. Even I am not immortal. I must die. So ask for something I can give you. So he was a calculating personality. So he said, if you can't give me immortality, then give me the benediction that I cannot be killed in the sky, in the land, or in the water. Granted. I cannot be killed on any time, inside or outside. Granted. Cannot be killed by any animal, or any man, or any deva. Granted. And he went on like this, doing like a checkmate against Lord Brahma's promise that he couldn't give him more immortality, but he can be killed this way, that way, the other way. So while he was doing those austerities, the demigods who had lost their kingdom saw this was their opportunity. So they came with all of their military strength, and minus Hiranyakashipu, the demons fled. So Indra was able to regain his palace. In the course of regaining his palace, he found Kayadu pregnant with Hiranyakashipu Jr. So they apprehended her. And they thought they would just keep her until the child was born, then kill the child, to avoid having another little Hiranyakashipu. Narada Muni came and intervened. Said, what are you doing? This is a pregnant woman. Yes, but we are not going to harm her. It's just the child, when the child is born. He said, no, no. This is a great devotee. She's carrying as her child a great devotee, Narada knew. So you just entrust her to me, and I'll take her to my ashram, and she can remain there safe until Hiranyakashipu returns from his austerities. So while Kayadu was there in the ashram of Narada, Narada instructed her in spiritual knowledge. He narrated the entire Srimad Bhagavatam and all varieties of spiritual knowledge, not only to her, but the child within her womb. Kayadu asked Narada for a special favor or benediction, that the child would not be born until her husband returned. Narada granted that benediction. So Prahlad remained within the womb of Kayadu for a long time with that benediction of Narada. And so Prahlad received Narada's association. Those who are mothers or would-be mothers should know that the sound vibration that mothers hear affects directly the child within the womb. Not only the mother, but the child within the womb is receiving enormous spiritual benefit if the sound vibrations are spiritual, and the converse if they're not. So Prahlad, when he was born, after Hiranyakashipu came back, he fully remembered everything he had heard and had realized while still within the womb of Kayadu. Unfortunately, Kayadu forgot, again in the association of Hiranyakashipu. But Prahlad didn't forget. In fact, his perfection, there's 9 processes of devotional service described in Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning with hearing and chanting, Shravanam, Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Mandaram, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani Vedanam. Prahlad Maharaj became perfect just by Smaranam, by remembrance. He always remembered, even in most difficult circumstances, he always remembered the lotus feet of Vishnu. And thus, he achieved perfection. And in all of his innocence, Prahlad Maharaj was also completely fearless. In fact, his attachment for Lord Vishnu was so great that when he was in the school of Sanda and Amarka were the sons of Shukracharya. Shukracharya was the priest or the teacher, the Brahmana, guiding the Daityas. So Sanda and Amarka, when they left the classroom, what happens when teachers leave the classroom? The children want to play. So they immediately started playing, and Prahlad sat them down and said, no, 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 don't waste a moment. From the tender age of childhood, Komara acharat pragyo dharman bhagavatan iha. One should immediately, at the early age of life. How old are you? In the front row. You're 7? 5. That's how old Prahlad was. 5. That marks the end of the Bala and entering in the Kumara age. From childhood to boyhood. Time you go to school, right? In September you go to school. Kindergarten, right? Yeah. So this was kindergarten school for the Daityas. So Prahlad taught his classmates the science that he heard from Narada Muni, the science of God. And the kids had never heard that, because they're in the Asura Kula, not Gurukula. The school where God is forbidden. And after explaining everything about the value of the human form of life, and that it's meant for devotion to God, he engaged everybody in chanting. And they were having a fantastic time chanting instead of playing, except Shanda and Amarka came in, and then the fear struck all the boys. They stopped. And Hiranyakashipu, hearing what Prahlad had done, his father sat him on his lap and asked him, "What's the best thing that you've learned in school?" He was busy with his kingdom. So little interval, you can imagine the king placing his young son on his lap, asking him, "What's the best thing that you've learned in school?" Maybe you've asked some of your children that. What's the best thing that you've learned in school? So Prahlad said, "I'm not really learning anything good in school. But there's one thing I can say to you that is good, and that's devotional service to Vishnu. That's the best thing." And Hiranyakashipu became very angry. "Vishnu, he's the enemy. He killed my brother, Hiranyaksha. Where did you learn this? Sanda and Amarka, come here immediately." And Sanda and Amarka said, we didn't teach him. We don't know. Please don't accuse us falsely. We didn't teach him these things. You better strictly observe what he's doing. Maybe somebody's sneaking in and teaching bad things to the kids. Eventually, he spoke again to Prahlad, and Prahlad again spoke about devotional service to Vishnu. And so his father decided to kill him.
Excuse me, Maharaj. I request all the parents to take care of the kids. They're kind of disturbing the lecture here, if you don't mind. Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj.
So he made a plan to kill his own son. It's described in the Bhagavatam. One of the methods that he used, he put him in a pit with snakes, poisonous snakes, and tormented by his followers. But nothing happened. So he tried another one. There's the pit of snakes. And Prahlad just offered prayers to the Supreme Lord, and they did nothing to harm him. So he got a wild elephant and the elephant trainers to trample Prahlad with an elephant. That didn't work. He made an arrangement to throw him off a cliff. And you'll see this photo again. Those of you that have been to Simachalam will know what I'm going to describe, but remember this image. He threw them off a cliff, but here the personality of Godhead, Vishnu, caught him, so he was saved. He put him in a midst of a burning, blazing fire, and Prahlad was safe. He had Kayadu feed him poison. Even the poison didn't work. Hiranyakashipu was completely frustrated. He brought his son before him, who stood before him with folded palms, and said, "Where are you getting your power? I'm the most powerful person in the whole universe. If I simply raise my eyebrow, then the demigods, they tremble in fear and run here and there. And you remain in front of me fearless, not trembling, defying my authority. I can understand that you want to die. Where are you getting your power?" And Prahlad said, "I'm getting my power from the same place you are. From Lord Vishnu. Because he's the power behind everyone. The power to breathe, and the power to move your arm, and the power to think. The power for anyone to do anything comes from the same source, the absolute truth, the all-pervasive personality of Godhead, Vishnu." Hiranyakashipu was so angry. "Vishnu! Who is this all-pervasive Vishnu? You show me, and I'll destroy him. Let him come here before me at once. You say he's all-pervasive. Is he in this pillar?" "Yes, my father. He's everywhere." And so Hiranyakashipu, with his sword, he smashed the pillar. And a tumultuous, we read this in our Chicago temple this morning, tumultuous roar. The whole earth began to shake. Such a terrible sound. It went throughout the whole universe, up into the heavenly planets, and the demigods were thinking, "Oh no, our planets are going to be destroyed from this sound. Where's it coming from?" And Hiranyakashipu looked everywhere and everywhere to find the sound, and bursting from the pillar, Lord Nrsingadev showed his form, you see, with 10 arms. There's a number of images. This is a deity that's actually being worshipped in this form, coming out of a pillar. In fact, this is a deity of a godbrother of mine, Sridhar Swami. Here is Lord Nrsingadev again coming out of the pillar. And immediately, Hiranyakashipu said, "I don't know what this beast and this personality is in front of me. Maybe it's a trick of Lord Vishnu to try to destroy and defeat me, but no one can defeat me." So he picked up his club and immediately attacked this half man, half lion, charging at him and roaring very loudly. Lord Nrsingadev fought with Hiranyakashipu, and he eventually grabbed him and placed him at a place that wasn't inside and out or outside. It was on the terrace of the palace. It wasn't daytime or nighttime, it was dusk. And he wasn't killed by a man or an animal, but a half man, half animal. And it wasn't killed by any weapon, but by the nails of Hiranyakashipu. So Hiranyakashipu, there's a number of these paintings. thing is advancing too much. He grabbed him with his nails, he placed him over his lap, and with his nails he opened up the internal organs of his body and garlanded himself with the intestines of Hiranyakashipu. Now this is a very fierce way for the demon Hiranyakashipu to die. But there's many, as you can see, many paintings of this particular event. This is a special painting. It's blue Nrsimha. Although in the Bhagavatam it describes that his mane was as white as snow. And many different art forms depicting the same. Looks like Hiranyakashipu's in a prison outfit. And the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, observing also. Here he's in some kind of a yoga pose. Here Lord Nrsimhadev is also using his feet. So different cultures having different art form, depicting the same Leela. This is from Thailand. I don't know where this is from. Lord Nrsimhadev looked like a bunny rabbit. And after Lord Nrsimhadev was, after Hiranyakashipu was killed, the soldiers of Hiranyakashipu charged at once at Lord Nrsimhadev, and his body became even larger. And as you see, he, with his own hands, he was destroying hundreds and thousands of soldiers with weapons in their hand and tossing them from the sky and ripping them in pieces, roaring very loudly. The intense battle against Hiranyakashipu's soldiers took place, leaving the place strewn with dead bodies. Then Lord Nrsimhadev sat on the throne of Hiranyakashipu, and the demigods had come, and the goddess of fortune had come to pay their respects to Lord Nrsimhadev, and there's a whole chapter of beautiful prayers offered to Lord Nrsimhadev. But he was in such a state of anger at the difficulty that Prahlad had been put through by Hiranyakashipu, who was still roaring and exhibiting great anger. So as you see, the demigods, they approached Prahlad and reasoned that Lord Nrsimhadev appeared to protect you. You're his pure devotee. So why don't you go offer prayers, and then he'll become pacified. So Prahlad approached him, and very quickly the anger subsided. And beautiful, beautiful prayers. I'll just summarize a little bit, but the long, one of the most favorite parts of Srimad Bhagavatam are these prayers of Prahlad. He begins speaking with great humility because he's a Vaishnava. He expressed to Lord Nrsimhadev that I have no qualification at all to come before you. The persons who have the qualification, they're the demigods, but because they've asked me, I must do this service. But I have no qualification. In fact, I have disqualification only. I'm born in a demoniac family. I have, my father has engaged in unlimited varieties of horrible works, and he's been my primary association in my life. But simply because I have one confidence, and that is that you're very kind. And so even if I don't have qualification, if I offer something to you with sincerity, you'll accept. So on the order of the demigods, he offered prayers, and he expressed his appreciation for the kindness of the personality of Godhead. Lord Nrsingadev placed his hand or his paw on the head of Prahlad. And Prahlad said, even the goddess of fortune has never received this kind of benediction from you. You're so kind and so merciful upon your devotee. And I'm not afraid of those sharp claws and pinching teeth, because I know that's not meant for the devotee. That's meant for the demons. But you, for your devotee, you're very kind and very affectionate. And I know that you wish to offer me a benediction. Even before he asked, he knew. He said, but please don't ask me, because I'll ask for something horrible, because it's the family that I was born in, a horrible family. It's something that'll be bad for me and bad for other people, so please don't ask me for anything. But if you really want me to take something, then my request is, please forgive my father for all of his atrocities, the hurtful things, harmful things that he's done to me and to others. Please forgive him completely and give him liberation. Lord Nrsingadev replied by saying, because he was killed in my presence and because he is your relative, 12 generations before you and after you have already been liberated. It's already been accomplished. So ask for something that you don't already have. So Prahlad requested, the people of this world are most unfortunate. They're misguided by material desires, pursuing anxiously happiness in a place where there's only misery, not any real happiness, but only misery, temporary, fleeting attraction, allurement for sense pleasure that ends up in misery. So please deliver them from this unfortunate condition. Compassion is the heart of Prahlad Maharaj, and great affection for Lord Nrsingadev. So surely when a pure devotee like Prahlad offers such prayer to Lord Nrsingadev, one who takes shelter of Lord Nrsingadev will surely receive his mercy. This is not working properly. So these are paintings illustrating the Leela sequentially. And of course there's many deities of Lord Nrsingadev where Prahlad is seated on his lap. Or Lakshmi, like you see here, is before him, offering her respects, or seated on his lap like this. Lakshmi Nrsinga or Prahlad Nrsinga. Very much loved form of the Supreme Lord. One of the Das avatars. And let's just see if we can identify who these... The Das avatars are Leela avatars. According to scripture, there are 6 different categories of forms of the Lord that appear in this world. And the Leela avatars are one of those 6. There's Manvantar avatars, Guna avatar, Leela avatar, Shakyavesh avatar. So these, let's see if we can identify who they are. Who is this one? Vamana. He's carrying his umbrella and his kamandalu. Of course, Lord Nrsingadev. Who is this? Varaha, saving the earth on his tusks. Over here, this is a tortoise. This is kurma. This is a fish. Who is that? Matsya. And so up here, who is this carrying the chopper? Parashuram. Carrying bow and arrow? Ram. Carrying a plow? Balaram. Playing his flute? Krishna. And down here, carrying a sword, riding a white horse? Kalki avatar. These are the primary, out of limitless numbers of Leela avatars, forms of the Lord that descend to perform Leela. Nrsingadev is one of them. Now I'm going to narrate a little bit about Ahovalam. Has anyone here been to Ahovalam? You're very fortunate. I hope to someday go. But it's very remote, it's hard to get to. Yes? And a little story. The person pictured here is the son of a devotee. His mother and father became disciples of Srila Prabhupada in ISKCON, and they had 3 sons, and one of the eldest name was Dhruva. And from when he was a little boy, like this little boy sitting in the front before, he had some attraction for Lord Nrsingadev. So as he grew up, he had little jobs where he would earn some money, and his plan was to save up money so he can go to India and see the temples of Lord Nrsingadev. This was like his childhood growing up. So when he became 20 years old, he had enough money, and he went to India to visit temples of Lord Nrsingadev. And here he is in Ahovalam, because one of the first places he went to was Jagannath Puri, and he had a carver, a murti maker, carve for him, specifically according to the ideas that he wanted, a deity of Lord Nrsingadev. And to this day he's worshipping. Here he is seated on the steps of one of the temples in Ahovalam, where this priest, Brahmana, gave him a guided tour. You saw his enthusiasm and devotion for Lord Nrsingadev, which inspired him. So he guided him through the whole of Ahovalam, which normally takes at least 2, and more commonly 3 days to visit all the temples. Now, if you're really fast, you can visit all the temples. How long did it take you to visit? 1 day?
Yes.
3?
1 day.
1 day?
Yes, madam.
You went everywhere in 1 day. And all the